The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of Digi-all. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to Digi-all Tech News. Today is Sunday, July 19th, 2026. I'm Kylie Brooks, and this is where technology becomes clear and engaging. A veteran CIA operative's final field mission put U.S. intelligence work right inside the uneasy politics of helping the U.A.E. advance in AI. China's open-weight AI push is gaining real usage momentum, with Moonshot AI's Kimi K3 sharpening the cost pressure on U.S. frontier labs. A sell-off in major AI-linked stocks is deepening while oil prices keep climbing amid U.S. Iran tensions and shifting rate expectations. AI is changing the economics of cybercrime by making phishing, social engineering, and deepfake deception cheaper and harder to spot. Nouriel Roubini says an AI-driven labor shock could push governments toward universal basic income or public stakes in leading AI firms. Let's start with the kind of AI story that is really about trust, power, and national security. Johnny Gannon, a longtime CIA operative who by 2023 had moved into a senior Washington desk job equivalent to an Army two-star general, was sent back into the field for one last mission. The assignment was to assess whether a powerful U.A.E. figure described as the spy sheikh could be trusted with some of America's most cutting-edge technology. Here is what makes this so striking. While Gannon was conducting espionage against that sheikh's tech company, he was also helping the Gulf country answer Washington's suspicions about its China ties. That matters because AI cooperation with an ally is not just a business deal when the technology is strategically sensitive. It becomes a test of whether intelligence, diplomacy, and commercial ambition can all point in the same direction. The tension is uncomfortable, but important. The US was effectively checking a partner from the inside while also clearing a path for that partner's AI ambitions. Now this is where the AI race starts to look less like one ladder and more like two markets. Chinese labs are pushing open-weight models, meaning systems whose weights can be downloaded, customized, and run more directly by users or companies. Moonshot AI's new Kimi K3 is the latest example, and it is being framed as matching or approaching models from Anthropic and OpenAI on key benchmarks, while costing far less for many routine workloads. On OpenRouter, Chinese open-weight models from Tencent, Xiaomi, DeepSeek, Minimax, and Z.ai now hold the top 5 spots by weekly token usage. That is a signal that companies are not just shopping for the smartest model. They are shopping for models they can afford, control, and run on-prem for coding, summarization, data extraction, and customer service. The economics are the story. Kong CEO Augusto Marietti says adoption has surged because flagship models are too expensive, and Mozilla CTO Rafi Krikorian compared using frontier models for everyday tasks to driving a Ferrari to Whole Foods. Cheaper alternatives can cost up to 50 times less. If open-weight systems can handle 95% of enterprise AI queries, the premium moat around OpenAI and Anthropic gets harder to defend. The bigger question is whether US labs can keep charging for scarcity when China is competing on speed, openness, and price. Markets are giving us a reality check on two assumptions at once: that AI winners can keep climbing without interruption, and that energy risk will stay in the background. Leading AI-related stocks are seeing a worsening sell-off while oil prices keep rising. The backdrop includes escalating U.S. Iran tensions, policy signals from the Trump administration, and changing expectations around interest rates. Related developments point to U.S. military airstrikes on Iran and wider concern around the Strait of Hormuz, which is why oil is being watched as a supply risk story, not just a commodity chart. In practical terms, higher oil prices can feed inflation anxiety, and that can matter for growth stocks because interest rate expectations affect how investors value future profits. So is this really about AI, or is AI the convenient explanation? The answer may be both. Some of the sell-off reflects skepticism about how quickly AI spending turns into returns, while the oil move reminds us that even the most digital companies still operate inside a very physical economy of energy, shipping, and global supply chains. The cybersecurity story is not that criminals discovered AI, it is that AI changes the cost curve. Phishing and social engineering used to be constrained by time, language skill, research, and manual targeting. Generative AI makes personalized deception cheaper, faster, and more scalable, which is why old warning signs like awkward grammar are losing value. The numbers are sharp. Global cybercrime costs are projected to reach $14 trillion by 2028, and the average phishing breach costs enterprises about $4 million. One academic study found AI-automated phishing emails had a 54% click-through rate, compared with 12% for generic emails, and the deepfake threat is no longer hypothetical. In Hong Kong, AI impersonations on a video call helped trick an employee into transferring $25 million. That matters for business leaders because awareness training by itself is no longer enough. The practical response has to include tighter payment and approval controls, AI-specific simulations, better secure email defenses, and governance that treats digital trust as a board-level risk. Defenders also get AI, but right now the uncomfortable question is whether organizations are still training people for yesterday's scams while attackers are automating tomorrow's. Finally, Nouriel Roubini is putting a very blunt economic frame around AI automation. In a Bloomberg TV interview on July 17, 2026, he argued that AI could displace a large share of the workforce over the next 20 to 25 years, making familiar fixes like raising the retirement age insufficient for Social Security, whose trust fund is projected to deplete by 2032. His proposed destination is universal basic income for people while they work and once they retire, or a more direct form of public ownership in the upside. Roubini said governments may have to choose between redistribution after the fact through UBI and what he called ex-ante socialism, where the state takes equity stakes in leading AI firms. One example in the discussion is OpenAI, which has reportedly discussed ceding 5% ownership to share upside with the public. What makes his argument unusual is that he calls this optimistic. He is imagining AGI pushing growth from today's 2 to 4% range to 6% by 2040 and 10% by 2050, with machines doing much of the work. The big question is not whether that sounds dramatic. It does. The question is whether governments could design redistribution or public stakes without choking off the innovation they would be trying to tax, share, or steer. Today's through line is the price of AI power. Governments are weighing trust before sharing advanced technology. Companies are choosing cheaper open-weight models for everyday work. Investors are testing AI valuations against energy shocks and rate expectations. Security teams are facing cheaper deception at scale. And economists are asking who gets the upside if automation transforms work itself. Thank you for staying informed with DigiAll Tech News. We'll be back with more updates as they develop.